Good evening. Since I'm the last speaker of the day, I have the prerogative of congratulating the organizers of this TED conference for having done an excellent job. Congratulations. You know, today's topic being change, I'd like to give a little twist. We need to understand the difference between change and transformation. I'd like to talk to you about transformation and why. Whenever we think of change, you have to ask why. All changes begin with why. So, my why is what I will show you.
Bangalore, known throughout the world for its sunrise IT industry, has a side to it that is seldom seen. This bleak situation begs the question, can the poorest children from these slums ever get access to quality education? Parikrma was founded in 2003 to impart quality education that prepares the poorest of poor children for life. Through the sheer quality of its education, it has been revolutionizing the way we educate our poor.
You first have to change yourself and then try to change the world.
To ensure that the child is ready to pursue dreams, the Parikrma model has an end-to-end program by providing education from KG to 12. Parikrma provides scholarship and professional training for children to go through universities or even vocational training before placing them in jobs.
It's been 8 years since I've been working in Parikrma. It's been a great experience so far. A happy moment for me was to see the children really doing well in their 10th and then later on picking up good offers in companies and definitely speaking wonderful English.
But serving the poorest of the poor means challenges in the path. The children come from households which are filled with violence and despair. And none of the parents have been to school. To ensure that the child continues to learn despite the stifling economic conditions, Parikrma has adopted a 360-degree development program that includes total nutrition, comprehensive healthcare, and family care. It's the circle of life, the Parikrma way.
Okay, I'm also very honored and exceptionally happy that the organizers showed Sir Ken Robinson, who's my hero. I've worked with him, and I can tell you he's an amazing personality in the education world. Unfortunately, he's no more, but his legacy will continue. And what I consider is my badge of honor is in his recommended list of videos, he has always recommended my TED Talk of 2009 as a must-see talk for all educators. I am extremely grateful to him for that. Now, with the question of why is education a privilege of only a few? Why should this happen? You know, India is the largest education system in the world. 1.5 million schools in the country, more than China. 9 million teachers in the country. 265 million children go to school. But do you know what? Only 35 million children actually complete education. Why should that happen? Where have the 100 million, more than 100 million students disappeared? Where are they? I began to ask this question, and I began to change myself. Many years ago, I was in the corporate world for 26 years. I was the CEO of a very large multinational company for 11 years. I was looking after India, Southeast Asia, Middle East, China. And I began to ask, why is this social injustice in our country? Why is it that I can travel first class? Why is it that one pair of shoes that I bought can take care of a family of 5 for nearly 7-8 months? Why should there be this disparity? And this question emerged in my mind very naturally, because when I was your age, I'm addressing the students of Lawrence, when I was your age, I had volunteered with Mother Teresa. I began volunteering with her when I was in school, the last years of school. I continued to volunteer with her right through school, college, masters, and my business management degrees. And I took the time out to learn from her. And this is what I have learned. One of the things that I am open to, and I invite all of you, is to look beyond yourself, is to look beyond what is the most obvious and find ways to help. I tell my students, and I started a school after I quit my corporate life. I started a school for street, slum, and orphan children. And now, today, I started it in 2003 with 165 students on a rooftop inside the slums, because we couldn't pay any very high rent, and we didn't have 400 acres of land for my school at that time. So I asked the question, why is it that we take for granted that children that come from slums, and streets, and orphanages have to be doled out mediocre, substandard education, whereas the privileged have it all? And that question led me to start more schools. So today I have 4 schools and a college and a teacher training center for government school teachers. We are working with about 2,000 children, and we've adopted government schools, about 5 government schools. We're in the process of adopting 2 more government schools. So we are influencing about 65,000 children all over. Now, 65,000 seems a very large number, right? But it's a drop in the ocean as compared to the number of children that have never ever gone to school in our country. And that's a tragedy. And something needs to be done about it. And I relentlessly work to make sure that these kids are never left out. Now, an NGO like mine will always be faced with the question, how do you make yourself sustainable? How do you scale yourself? And what kind of impact can you have? I began with dealing with impact. Because unless you see transformation, change, which I call transformation, until you see that, then you will never ever have impact. And impact is the only way to sustain yourself. Impact is the only way to scale yourself. So that is the sequence we follow. But becoming sustainable in this world is very, very challenging. But why I believe change is possible is because all children have potential to do well. All children have the right to live well. All children have the right to dream of a good future. And it is up to us. It is up to us that are privileged that to think about it. There has been this big flooding in Wayanad just a few months ago. My children, I have 2,000 children, so my children, a few of them, came across to me and said, they call me Akka. Akka is, as you know, older sister. So they call me Akka, and they said, Akka, what are we doing about Wayanad? And I said, what do you want to do? He said, so many schools have got destroyed in the flood. Shouldn't we do something about it? So I said, look, there's this government system that is working, but if you all want to do something, let's definitely think about it. And so, guess what they did? They don't have money. They are children of daily wage labor. 98% of my children have fathers that are alcoholics. 92% of my children have someone in their family in jail. They are coming from dysfunctional families, but they have the heart. And so, what they did? They gave up their breakfast every Saturday, and the money that we would have spent on breakfast was saved and sent to Wayanad. So, what I believe is it's possible for every single person at any age to create change. It is the intent that is more important. We ran a program called Fistful of Rice, where each child came every day and with just giving one fistful of rice, and we collected that fistful of rice, and we were able to feed the hungry in the slums for many months. And it's these children who barely have anything that decided that it was important for them to contribute. They call it sacrifice. We don't have money, but we can always contribute to change through sacrifice. And this contribution and this participation in change has become what we believe transformation. Let me share with you all the changes that we have been able to create. I have students who have gone to National Law School from the slums. I have students who are software engineers in multinational companies like Cisco, Infosys, Accenture. I have lawyers. I have doctors. I have many employees in call center business. Many of them are managers. I have nurses. I was in London just a few weeks ago, and my best visitor was my student, who's a senior nurse in Northwick Hospital in London. She was in the slums 13 years ago. So, testimony of change is possible if they are given an opportunity, if people believe in them, and if there is someone to nurture them. And that is what Parikrma Humanity Foundation has been doing over the last 20 years. Remember, I said I began Parikrma on top of a roof, on a rooftop, inside the slums with 165 children and 11 staff members. The 165 children have grown to 2,000 children. And out of the 11 staff members, 10 are still with me. They still continue to teach. Why? Is because they have found meaning in their life. They have found a purpose. They have realized that their contribution is into nation building, because it's those those children that are unheard of, those children that are invisible, are suddenly getting a voice, suddenly becoming visible, and suddenly coming into mainstream of Indian economy.
My name is Falita. I'm currently doing my BA LLB. I joined Parikrma in 2003 from the day it started.
So this is Falita. I found her. She came from a very, very poor family close to the slums. And she came and studied in Parikrma, as you heard. She graduated, she passed law, she worked in a legal firm for about a year or so, decided that was not what she really wanted to do, and got into entertainment. And today, she is the director entertainment of Royal Caribbean Cruise. In 1 month, she earns more than her entire family of 5 earned in a year. And today, this is Falita, and those other women in the picture report to her. So Falita is creating change by moving out from the slums, removing her family from there, and encouraging all her rest extended family to get into education and look at life differently. I have Santosh. Santosh, again, an immigrant from Bihar. I found him playing in the streets with his cousins and siblings, picked him up, said, you know, you're a school-going age, you need to go to school. He didn't know what school was. We picked him up, brought him to school, he graduated from school, he went to college, then we sponsored his hotel management education. He started working at Hilton, and today he is running a very, very prestigious boutique restaurant in Dublin, in Ireland. So these children are crossing all boundaries, geographical boundaries, economic boundaries, boundaries of the mind. Because I say what is real poverty is not economic poverty or poverty of infrastructure. Real poverty is poverty of the mind. And our education system allows to foster that poverty. So I have Shiva, again, his mother would sell flowers in front of the temple. His grandmother was a maid, and today he is a senior software engineer in Cisco. This is my favorite story. This is Victor. Victor, you will have to find him in that class photograph. Victor is very good in football, continues to play football. He graduated from Parikrma, and he is a genetic scientist. He is doing research on cancer cells. He is applying to go to Cambridge University to study genetic engineering.
Coming to school, I learn many things. I learn how to communicate with people.
So this is Chaitra. Chaitra, again, came from a very, very impoverished family, studied in our school, did well, studied biotechnology in Ramaya Institute, which is one of the prestigious institutes in Bangalore. Studied there, did some research at JNCSR, which is the Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research. Decided that she also wanted to be in entertainment. So today, she is a very well-known Kannada film star. And just recently, she got the IFA award for the Best Actress award. Now, why am I showing and sharing all this? Because these kind of stories of transformation is the potential in all our children. Education for all is absolutely important because no one should get deprived of quality education. We have been able to set standards and marks that have not been seen in the country before. We have the highest attendance in the country, 96%. We have the lowest dropout in the country, which is less than 1%. And all that will make sense when you look at the national average. The children going to government schools, only 35% is the attendance, and about 72% drop out by the time they reach grade 8. As compared to that, our dropout rate is as low as less than 1%. Our parents-teachers meeting is 100%. That often doesn't happen even in privileged schools. Why do the parents want to come? They give up their daily wage, they give up their construction labor wage of that day, and why do they want to come and attend their children's parents-teachers meeting? Is because they are seeing some hope. They see some lighthouse out there. They really believe that if they support their children, then their future will be better. Not only the children's, but the whole family's future. And that is what we are seeing today. And it is so important to include the family in the endeavor of progress. Because, as we all know, Indian families are very closely knit, irrespective of the economic background. And the children listen to their parents when they have to make serious decision. The parents play an influencing role. So we work very closely with the parents. We do skill training, digital literacy, we do spoken English classes, because what I found very fascinating was when we started Parikrma and the parents came to attend the parents-teachers meeting, they would only give thumbprints because most of them are illiterate. But today, their children have taught them how to read and write, and they are now giving signatures. So we felt if children can teach the parents to sign their names, we should take it a little further and teach them English so that they will not feel inadequate as against their children, because all our children speak English fluently. I have had 11 of our children go to Duke University. I have 5 kids who've just returned from the University of San Diego after representing our country in the leadership summit over there. So this is the kind of changes that are happening in the community, in the slums itself. Others are beginning to see it. And therefore, we believe that we must bring the parents along with them. So we've started spoken English classes, and it seems to have picked up. The parents are beginning to learn, but what I feel is most important for our parents is financial literacy, because they have to learn whatever their income may be, they need to save. Why am I saying all this to you? Because all this is linked to education. Education for all. Because all this will lead to change. If you were to ask me, how do I see the Parikrama's future? Why do we continue to do what we do? Is because at the end, really no one should be staying in slums in such an indignified manner. They all should be living in a dignified manner, earning fair amount, and being able to secure their future. That is what a developed country ought to do. We should all join hands to do that. I learned from Mother Teresa that everything that you do, you have to have passion, you have to have perseverance, but you also need to have patience. She would tell me that, look, Shukla, as far as passion and perseverance is concerned, I am confident that you have that. But I'm really worried about your patience. And I have to confess to you that patience has always been my problem, because, in lives of children, every day matters. Every single day matters. And therefore, you can't be too patient about it. But I am trying my best. I'm trying my best to be patient for the sake of the organization, because it has to last long. She also taught me, she called that the magic C's. She also said, anything you do, you have to have clarity. You need to be very clear about what you want to do. That clarity will give you conviction, because the more clear you are, the more convinced you will be about your project, about your aims and goals. That conviction will lead to commitment, because then you will really be committed to the goal and the end. But you must also have courage, because look at Mother Teresa. Look at the kind of courage she had. She came to the country as an 18-year-old, not knowing the language, totally unfamiliar with the country, and look what she did. I say she was the best CEO that I have ever worked for, because which CEO can start 135 offices all over the world, representative offices, with no budget? Because everybody worked for her voluntarily. That's the quality of leadership that I learned from her. And most importantly, she would say, you need to have compassion. And I learned over the years, I've been doing this now for 23 years, I've learned that compassion has to be interlaced with passion. Because if you have passion, but it doesn't lead to any compassionate deed, it is of no use to the world. So compassion, my dear children, is extremely important. And even when I was a CEO and I was one of those very few Indian women CEOs in the country several decades ago, I always believed that compassionate, empathetic leadership can lead to a better future. It can lead to a better organization. It can lead to harmonious employment facilities and feelings. A well-being in the organization is through empathetic leadership. And if we all adopt empathetic leadership, then not only will the organization be good wherever you may work, not only an educational institution thrive, because compassion is very important, but we will lead to a better future for millions of children, not only in our country, but around the world. Because it's important that no one gets left behind, because every single child is important. And so, what Parikrma has been trying to do is trying to create change by transforming the lives and changing the narrative of one child at a time. This is my favorite quote. To know that even one life has breathed easily because you have lived, then that is to have succeeded. Success is not acquisition of material. Success is to have the power to give. Power is the best power is how you empower others. And that is my thought of the day for all of you today. Thank you.